Setting up Rhone is actually a lot easier than you might think. It doesn't require any tools or experience and only takes a few minutes. Let me walk you through it step by step. First of all, it's important that you place it on a stable underground that can carry the load. We typically recommend to place it in a covered and shaded area, just because temperature retention is much better, especially in the summer, and it's less affected by the elements, so your Rhone stays clean all the time. When you first get your Rhone out of the box, it might still have some factory dust on it. If you have your Rhone outside, we recommend just rinsing it and then wipe it clean. If you have it inside, you can just use a cloth and just wipe it down. That's plenty. Now that the tub is clean, let's place the chiller. But before we do that, one important remark. If you just got it shipped, make sure you leave it in an upright position for 2 to 4 hours. Once you've done that, make sure you leave at least 50 centimeters of space on either side of the chiller to ensure proper airflow. Now that we've got the chiller in the right position, we also have to think about the drainage. If you're outside and your environment allows for it, you can just open the bottom part and let your tub drain through here. But if you have your Rhone inside, you might want to consider using the chiller as a pump and have your hose lead into the nearest drain or sink. Here you can see all of the fittings that are inside your box. You're not going to need all of them if you don't want to, but the most important ones are your shut-off valves. You can use these to turn water flow on or off. Now in the next step, you take your threading tape and you put it around the threads of your shut-off valves. It's very important that you wrap the tape clockwise around the thread of the shut-off valve. Otherwise it will unturn once you screw it in. Wrap it 2 to 3 times around. Now you can use your fingers and push it inside the thread. I've now prepared all the fittings that we're going to use today. In the next step, we'll connect one of the shut-off valves with the first angle. Okay, done. The next step, we use this reducer and we put it into the other end. Same goes for the other side. Now that we've put it together, we're going to put this into the top port. Just screw it in until it's nice and tight. Now for the bottom piece, if you just use the valve, it's no problem, you can just turn it in. But if you use the angle, you have to lift the top slightly in order to be able to screw it in. Now, once you've attached those 2 angles and the valves, you can turn the shut-off valve off because we're about to fill the tub and you don't want it to drain already. Make sure you fill it up to above the top hole. I already went ahead and connected the hoses to the top. Before we connect the chiller, we have to make sure we choose the right hole. So we have the top port, which is the top inlet. So we need to connect the top inlet hose to the chiller outlet, and the bottom port, which is, yes, you guessed it right, it's the top outlet to the chiller inlet. Just one more time because it's really important. The water inlet on the chiller, which is the top port, needs to be connected to the bottom port of the tub. The water outlet, which is on the bottom on the chiller, needs to be connected to the top port on the top. Now the setup is almost complete. We just need to open the shut-off valves. First, open the bottom port and then the top. And then typically it will automatically flush the entire system. We can then proceed and turn the chiller on at the press of a button. If you connect your chiller to Wi-Fi, you can always access all of the important settings remotely through your phone. Now the setup is complete, the chiller is cooling at full speed. The only thing you want to make sure is to always put the lid on top so you don't lose any of that cooling energy. And by the way, the setup works very similarly with all of our chillers. Have fun cold plunging.